Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your, out, step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your mind. Step up, step up, step up. Step out of your mind. Step out of your mind. Out. Step out, step out, step out, step out. Out of your out.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, elephants and squirrels, this is DJ Raviesta here on Rhinos Inc. Gaming. And tonight is the night to talk about the Switch 2. We finally got some information, a hefty amount of information, specifically from that Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on Wednesday. And then, of course, we had some subsequent Treehouse Lives on both Thursday and Friday. So a lot of information about this console and the games. And, of course, there are a lot of things to talk about, as I'm sure you know if you've been following this console at all in the past few days. So for tonight, it's not going to be just me talking about the awesomeness of the Switch 2 and some other things that might not be as awesome, but without any further ado, let me just go ahead and introduce the wonderful Reggie and Tommy.
Hey.
And so tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about Switch 2. We're going to get into the stuff that happened in the Direct. So like a quick overview of what happened. We're going to get into that. It might not actually be all that quick, but we're going to get through that. And then, of course, we're going to share our opinions on what happened, where we think the console is going to end up, how Nintendo is going to deal with the things that are going on, and how the Switch 2's future could pan out. So with that said, guys, I'm going to hand it off to you two. So go ahead and let's start this discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, out the gate, starting strong. Mario Kart,
absolutely.
loved it. Very much an open world area. I just love everything about the detail, the graphics. Gonna be amazing. I really paid attention to the full extent of the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Really long character list.
That roster looks insane.
Yeah, a couple of characters I didn't even know existed. There was like a handful. I don't even know which games they came from personally.
The two craziest ones I know of are the cow from Moo Farms.
Yes,
That's funny.
So that was from Moo Farms.
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw a cow and I was like, did they pick up one and just start putting it on the cart? Or
Yeah.
I thought it was like from the map or something, but that's actually from a. Okay.
It's I think from Moo Farms on Wii, and the other character, the crazy character I know about, is one of the snowmen from like the ice levels is also playable.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
really funny.
Ridiculous, but that looks good. Later on, I think they really went into the Switch 2 itself, and some of the things that caught my eye were the camera.
They seem to be really going in on their chat option. They have a whole button dedicated to it. The chat feature seems pretty good. They showed like people playing the same game being essentially a web call.
Yeah.
They showed people playing different games being in the same web call. They even showed like, oh, like here you're looking for this thing. Watch my footage from like 20 seconds ago. You'll see me going there, and that was really neat.
Yeah, that was really fun. I will say this could be a good thing or a bad thing, because I don't know if you played video games in the 90s, but if Call of Duty comes into this, it's gonna be a lot.
A whole new level of
It's
toxicity.
gonna be banned cameras.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if I'm going to be getting a camera per se, but I will say I am eternally grateful to it existing, because it gave Nintendo a reason to put a USB port on top of the Switch for
Yes.
charging.
About time.
Which is someone who predominantly plays handheld, that feels so nice.
I bet. Yeah, I saw that later on, and I was like, I don't care what made this happen. Thank you for creating this. That and the I don't mainly play handheld, but sometimes I'll play not on TV. So
like
that
the
new
tabletop?
stand. Thank
yeah.
you for actually attempting with that. A whole bar
Yeah.
that you can actually sit up and you won't have to balance. I love that.
Because didn't the OLED kind of, I don't have an OLED, but doesn't the OLED kind of have like a wider kickstand than the base Switch does? I think it actually is like kind of like the Switch 2 is like
Oh, yeah?
more. Yeah.
That I didn't know. I don't have an OLED. Maybe.
I think it does.
Possibly.
Raven, do you have an OLED?
What?
Do you have an OLED? Can you confirm?
Do I have an
Bigger
OLED?
kickstand?
Switch OLED?
I do not have a Switch OLED.
all right.
I opted to skip that one.
That's fair.
Yeah, I
Fair.
still have my OG Switch from like day one, like launch day, which is actually right there on set.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So look at it on full display with new Joy-Con, thanks to a wonderful friend of mine. But
Very
yeah, I
nice.
do not have the OLED.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, that and I like the idea they had with the what was it, like the presentation of the specs of the Switch 2 and that kind of walkthrough.
Are we talking about that game thing?
Yes.
So I like that presentation, but I think that might have been the biggest mistake so far I've seen Nintendo make in terms of the launch.
Yeah.
It's not a packing game. It's not free. They want you to pay money for that.
I'm glad we agree on that,
Yes.
because that was one of my of the few negatives I saw in this direct. That was one of the major ones. It's like if you want people to buy this, especially because it looks very similar to the Switch 1. If you want to really get people ingrained in the details of why it's so much better, you give that out for free.
Definitely. I recently just got a PS5 on Black Friday sale, and that includes a very cute pack-in game called Astro's Playroom. And one of the things about that is that was such a beloved pack-in game that they went and made a whole sequel to it.
Right.
as a full like standalone, like, hey, here's this character from the Pac-Man game. Here's a whole game just about him and PlayStation's history and celebrating it. And that I think would have been better and more welcoming for Nintendo than, you want this manual? Put the money in
We're
there.
paying for manuals now.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But yeah, that aside from that, that and the like I said, I was kind of joking at first about the negatives of the camera, but I really do think that could get into some almost shiesty wars depending on where people go with it.
That's definitely true. We might want to talk about this more later in the speculation half, but I am surprised to see Nintendo going that far into it, given how like almost behind the times they seem to have been in like online experiences, out of a sense of protectiveness.
Right.
Like with needing these friend codes, needing these convoluted ways for people to be able to connect and play together, out of a sense of keeping players safe from predators.
Right, and then they just give you a full-blown camera. It's like, which way are we
Yeah.
going with this, guys? It's almost like an over-competition to not have that rep.
Definitely. But they did talk about the parental controls too, so
Right.
that might be them trying to balance it out.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then after that, it was a lot of, maybe not a lot of old games coming back, but a whole kind of library of GameCube games.
Oh yeah, the GameCube
That
games.
was, I did not see that coming.
All right, so here is my wild opinion or / theory. The GameCube's a cursed system.
Cursed.
So here's
Why
the thing.
cursed?
This is not the first time that the new Nintendo system is totally going to have GameCube games coming to its virtual console.
Okay.
The Wii U was supposed to have it.
Well,
We all don't remember the Wii U.
we try not to.
We tried not to. I think the
It's kind
Switch,
of like the Avatar movie. It's like, what Avatar movie? Shut up. Don't you?
I think the Switch 2 was also the Switch 1 was also supposed to have GameCube games, and
Really?
it just doesn't. Or I think that was at least some speculation, and now Switch 2 has it.
Hopefully they solve the
Hopefully,
problem.
hopefully, this solves the problem.
What was the issue with it in the Switch 1?
It just didn't happen. I mean,
Oh.
that was Switch 1 was also where we went from virtual console, where you buy individual games to have on your system, to a more subscription based, pay a Nintendo Online subscription, and you get 1 to 3 games from old systems every month.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully they fix it because I've never played Zelda. What was it? Wind Waker.
Yeah, Wind Waker.
Apparently that's coming back on it.
It is. That's one of the launch titles for it.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I never played it. Apparently everyone seems to love it.
It's funny now. It's definitely one of the most beloved Zelda games. The art
Okay.
style really people bond to. I'm not that big of a Zelda guy, but even that it's a good game. It's a phenomenal game.
Okay, from what little I saw, it looked very interactive.
It is.
I like that. It was like you can actually change the way the winds are going depending on how you play, like a flute or something. Or is
Yeah,
that like
I think like a baton, and that's actually instrumental. That's how you move throughout the game mode because it is based on sailing.
okay.
Yeah, so it's a huge part.
All right, good.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Another major thing, the Joy-Cons themselves. Now there's like a mouse feature.
Oh, the mouse feature that's exciting.
that seems fun. They've definitely put out games to where they're leaning into that.
Yeah, definitely. They got like Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Obviously being like one of the most famous like first-person games on Nintendo systems. That was the moment where I'm like, okay, I got to pre-order Switch 2.
Yeah. Another game I got to jump on. I haven't played a Metroid Prime game since maybe Game Boy Advance. Like I'm way
Fair.
behind on that. But it looks interesting. That and a game I used to play a lot. The Civilizations games.
Oh yeah, Civ 7.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
putting that on now. And now that's a mouse.
And they
feature
even
moving
talked
in.
about it. I think that was the only third-party game to talk about, hey, here's the mouse controls. That's going to be really nice.
Yeah, that looked fun. I actually cannot wait for that. What else? There was. I'm saving something big for the end, so I want to nitpick at some of the other things
Okay,
first.
absolutely. Do you want to talk about some of the... we'll talk about Game Share?
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
that's the
fun.
feature they introduced, where it's like, oh, if you have this game in your library, you can share it with someone on your friends list, and they have it for, I want to say it was like 2 weeks. They just have it to play. It seemed kind of suspiciously generous for a game sharing system.
Fair.
And I couldn't help but notice that they announced like 5 games getting compatibility updates to have game share. You got the standards: Captain Toad, 3D World, Mario Odyssey, Big Brain Academy, and of course the standout of the Switch library, Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics.
I mean,
That
major classic, heavy hitter.
the killer app of the Switch.
But yeah, that's going to be fun because now, especially times being hard nowadays, now only one of your friends has to have a game.
Yeah.
And you can all play it.
Oh, the multiplayer stuff was really nice.
That's really going to help. What was one that I forget the game you actually just mentioned? The I think the second to last one,
Big Brain Academy.
Big Brain Academy. What's that one about?
So Big Brain Academy, it's not really like a game in the sense of like having like a story or like objective. It's more like here's like puzzles that you can do to like make your mind more responsive, like train your brain health.
Okay.
So the idea is you get a brain age. It's like here's how much of an old man your brain is, and the younger your age is, the better your brain is. So like work out to make your brain less old, essentially.
All right. It caught my ear because I had never heard of it, so I was just like, did I miss something? Or
I just made a specific note of what 5 games they announced for Game Share because it was funny to me that they they showed all these 5 games and they said including Clubhouse Games as if that was to stand out. This
like,
board
huh?
game, this board game collection. Yeah, Mario, checkers.
ridiculous. But yeah, looking good. Awesome. Some of the aspects of the Switch itself. Wanted to bring this up specifically because I have a friend of mine who had an issue in this department. The dock itself is going to have a fan, and I think that's a very smart move given how at least with him, his fan broke.
Oh,
So now having that in the dock itself, I think was a really interesting idea to make it where like initially the dock was just kind of the plastic you use to send
Yeah.
it to the TV.
yeah, the plastic that has like the 2 hookups for power. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now it actually has a feasible purpose for the system.
So when you
Now
say
that I think
fan,
about-
you mean like his Switch internal fan?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Yes.
Yeah, flashbacks to when my fan wasn't working for a while, and for those of you who've been watching my streams for a while, you probably remember the times where I would be playing a game and then all of a sudden you see Switch has overheated, and yeah, it was rough. So yeah, I'm definitely really happy with them adding in that extra fan to just make things easier on the Switch 2 itself. So, and people's wallets also. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would imagine fixing that, it may not be particularly expensive, but I doubt it's easy.
Oh no, and I'm sure that does cost a little bit in terms of like the difficulty of getting to the fan.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what else? I just think this is really cool. I know it's not a major thing, but how the controller is magnetic.
The magnets. That,
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't. It's something so. It's left field in my opinion because it was one of those things that no one really asked for, but it's like, huh, okay.
I'm actually kind of
Cool.
hopeful. For a while, I was playing a game that because I normally play handheld, but there was a game I was playing for a while where I would put the Switch in the dock and like take out the Joy-Cons, and I was doing it so much. At least to me, it felt like that's what's causing it. That my Joy-Con connections are actually kind of loose now.
Oh.
Like if I'm like laying or sitting and I like rest the Switch a certain way, I just lose connection and I have to like fight my Switch to like recognize my Joy-Cons again. So I'm hoping that
Kinda
is why they
solves that.
switched to the magnetic connection system.
That would, yeah, hopefully. 'Cause that I can imagine that being annoying. You're trying to play a game and it's literally falling apart.
Yeah. Well, it's probably it wouldn't feel different to me. It would just, I guess, like some connection inside would like.
Oh, so like
break.
it wouldn't be able to talk to.
Yeah, it
us.
wouldn't be talking like, all right, hey, can you please connect the controller?
It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah, there's one right here.
You mean like this?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's. Well, honestly, that could have been part of the reason why.
Yeah.
Maybe that problem was being reported often, and they're like, all right, maybe this is something we have to actually fix. So,
Yeah, maybe.
Possible.
Because my like unscientific survey of talking to Switch owners I know, most of them play docked predominantly. I'm like one of the few who primarily plays a handheld.
Okay.
So maybe it's well reported and just not something I encounter very much.
Fair.
Yeah.
Another one of the games. Again, something else that came out of left field for me. that new Bloodborne-ish.
Oh,
game.
Duskborn.
Yeah,
Oh, not Duskborn. Duskblood.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got blood in it.
It's got blood and dusk.
Something in there. It's. I've never played any of those games. The Elden Ring, I've still yet to play. Bloodborne, but when I saw that, it was definitely along the veins of it, and it's interesting that they went that route.
It is interesting.
Because like with Nintendo in general, it's very much more of a light, happy, like their bases are like Kirby and Pokemon, things that are very bright and vibrant. So for them to have a game like this, it's like, okay, you went there.
I think what's going on there is people have been wanting like Bloodborne to be like ported to like PC for a while, and I think it's a FromSoft game that Sony owns or like has some stake in, and they're just like, no, it's ours. No one's can play it. So I think they did the next best thing and like, hey, here's totally not Bloodborne, and it's coming to the Switch, and I'm going to take a guess maybe other platforms as well in the
Hopefully.
future. I'm more like you. I've never played Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but I might pick this one up. I'm not really a fantasy guy, more sci-fi, but this one looks kind of steampunk, and that's enough for me to get in.
Yeah, it looks well done. You know, sometimes you get ports and there's all types of sketchiness, or it doesn't look the way it really looked in the other game, so you kind of lean away from it. But this one looks almost as good as the ones on the other systems.
Definitely.
You say you're going to get it? You might get it? Because I might get it.
I might get it. Probably will get it. Who knows if I'll actually beat it? It's a FromSoft
Well,
game.
even people who like it, sometimes they don't beat it. So
That's true.
That's one of those games where it's like it's like life.
Yeah.
You try your best.
Yeah.
But
You try your best, and you will see the red words, "You are dead" at the end.
and sometimes controls will be thrown, and well, you scare people, and we move on.
Yep.
Another major one. What was the game? There's so many.
There was
There were so many games that like caught me. The new Zelda game.
Oh yeah, the Zelda Warriors again.
Yes.
Yes.
That looks good. That looks very good. And it's I was watching some other people, and they were saying like, if you think about it, it makes sense that they made this game given the last one.
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild got a Hyrule Warriors game, and Tears of the Kingdom also getting one makes sense. I think it's funny that after decades of Link being the playable character in Zelda, to the point where that's the joke, oh, you don't play as Zelda, who's this green guy. The last two Zelda games, you actually play as Zelda.
Right.
Yeah. We might even see Link at all in this one, because she's like 10,000 years in the past. He might even show up.
Could be interesting.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if that's the first one I get and I beat it. Because I have the which one? I'm terrible with names. Not Tears of the Kingdom, but
Breath of the Wild?
I have Breath of the Wild. And it's just daunting how big the game is.
Yes.
You have to beat it.
Same.
But it'd be funny if I get this one just out of chance. I'm at GameStop or whatever, and I just like, it looks cool. And I just happened to beat that one before I beat this game that's like
so funny.
7 or 8 years old.
I'm not that big of a Zelda fan. My worst Zelda opinion is that Hyrule Warriors is my favorite Zelda game, because I like that gameplay so much.
Really?
Yes. Like, it does play anything like a Zelda game.
Don't worry, we'll protect you. He was kidding. He's trying to get clickbait. Sure. But I mean, hey, the gameplay is fun. It's very hack and slashy.
Yeah.
And if that's your thing, it's cool.
Also, Linkle. Linkle's great. Like, the woman who thinks she's Link, like the chosen hero, and she's not. She's just another blonde person. But she's trying to help. And, like, her whole campaign is trying to get to Hyrule Castle and just getting lost.
Oh, God.
It's so fun.
That's all she does. She tries and fails.
No, she helps. She does help people, but she's like trying to like go on her epic hero quest.
Okay.
And she doesn't do that because she's not the epic hero. She's just another hero doing her best. It's great.
That is funny. That is hilarious. A game that I saw that I get why they made the game. I get why they put it in, and I like the effort, but I just don't see it catching on. Drag X Drive.
I was about to say, let me guess.
Yeah. If for those of you who don't know, it's essentially you play from a wheelchair, and it's like basketball.
Yeah.
And it looks well done. It looks clean. don't see a lot of people playing it after the first couple hours. I really don't.
It's interesting. Like I try not to pay too much attention to the online speculation between watching the direct and doing this because I didn't want to cover my expectation. But I did see a lot of negativity just in the chat for the direct about this game.
Really?
I don't get why. I mean, like, I think this is going to be the Switch 2's ARMS. Like,
someone's got to be armed.
someone's got to be ARMS. It's got to be
someone.
this one. It looks neat. I think I'm just trying to show off, like, hey, we can do, like, mouse gameplay, obviously, but
Right.
what else can we do with 2 Joy-Cons that can kind of be like mice? I think that has a lot of interesting gameplay potential. Wheelchair basketball is kind of, like, I think the easiest way to show that off in a way that people can understand.
True. Yeah, like I said, I get it. I know why you did it. It's just like, I don't want to be rude and be like, maybe make a better game and do it, but it's like, I know that's not easy to take a technology that's literally never been done and make a game and make it something everyone's going to want to play. So, like I said, I like the effort, but it's just like, yay.
Yeah, with this one, it's I was a little bit hesitant to like come up with an opinion, but honestly though, when I did take a look at the Treehouse Live that happened and when they were playing it, I was like, okay, I might actually enjoy this one potentially. Like it's one that I'd actually have to get my hands on first, just so I could truly understand, like, okay, will I like this? And I feel because this game is so different, they're probably going to do like think of like what Splatoon had, right? They had the global test fire to get everyone to understand, like, you know, this is what Splatoon is all about. So like this was back in like 2015, right? And I remember like E3 2015, Splatoon was shown off. I'm like, the hell is this? I'm not going to play this game. Squids and children? No, forget this. But then I played the game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, when does it come out and how many copies can I buy? So I really think like this one is going to have to get that global test fire-esque treatment for people to really understand how this one plays and how they're going to feel about it, really. So, but that's just my perspective on it.
No, I definitely get that. I definitely get that. I think what would really help is if the game had some type of a hook, some type of a very rogue thing that they maybe didn't show in the direct, but it seems almost too straightforward.
Yeah, and looking at the footage now, I kind of see that too. Also, like, I think what kind of hurts is the characters are so vague and indistinct. Like, even when you see, like, like it's just like very in shadow. This like it almost looks ominous. Like every character is just a mid-rank anime villain, just in the shadow.
And that's the hook we need.
Yeah,
it's actually a horror movie where they're forced to play basketball for their lives.
and
that's how you get them in the door.
I'm just also imagining like this like the Drag X Drive guy in a wheelchair is like that meme where it's like one path leads to a happy castle and one path leads to like Splatoon. Arms.
It's like, oh, I don't want to pick now. But yeah, I mean that, or like maybe it's got some type of thing where you can do really cool tricks, and that could turn into some type of thing. But yeah, it looks like you're saying. It just looks bland. It doesn't look bad. It just looks very. There it is.
Yeah.
It's almost like you made a game out of clay.
Yeah, to me it kind of looks like, here's our gameplay test. We'll add in the characters later. Like, this is a test level we're looking at. These are test models.
This is like beta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, I mean, like Robin said, maybe they've got something kind of hidden in the waters that we can't see yet. Maybe it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So should be interesting later on.
Definitely. Definitely case let them cook.
Let them cook. They've been known to do that. They've been known to give you something that's really basic, and then a couple months later, oh, that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Well, hats off to you, sir or madame.
Yeah.
You got me.
I was bamboozled.
I've been swindled and bamboozled, and I have been had.
Yep.
Okay, so the system itself, like we were saying earlier, it looks very similar to the original, but if you look inside, a lot of differences. 1080p.
Yeah.
120 FPS.
120 FPS, it's huge.
Huge. it's really going to make these games look a lot better, really bring them up in the ranks. We were speaking earlier about how a friend of mine was angry that this was going to possibly take some customers away from PlayStation and Xbox.
I mean, they have more.
been-
They have more games in launch library than PlayStation and Xbox have now.
Well, be that as it may, but yeah, they're really stepping up their game with these systems.
Definitely.
You know, they're really increasing the graphics, like providing more games, having kind of interesting things you can do with the controllers themselves. No one ever thought about having, let's do something with the controller.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at PlayStation, I always bring up, it's one of the systems I also play. I guess their motto is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because all those controllers look exactly the same. Whereas with the Wii, it's like, no, I think we put it into the magic pot here. We can come out with something interesting, boys.
Yeah. TV remote and control thumbstick. Yeah.
Well, sometimes the goo breaks.
And no, but I mean, it worked. Like, I wasn't joking. Yeah, it looks silly when you look at it. You know, the thumbstick in one hand, the Wii remote in the other. But
Right.
Metroid Prime 3 was a phenomenal game. It had that whole innovative control scheme behind it.
True. Very true. What else? The internal storage, the speed. I wasn't even thinking about that. Like having the game simply just run faster would be a good thing.
Yeah. And going back to what you were saying about Nintendo taking a bite out of PlayStation, that's PlayStation 5's whole gimmick is, look how fast we load, look how fast we load.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, you do load fast.
Yeah, let me go ahead and take some of that and put it in ours. Thanks. Wiggle back. But yeah, overall, it just looks a lot better, a lot cleaner than the first one, which was already a good system. You know, personally, the Switch One, I didn't have a lot of complaints about it. You know what I mean? There were minor things that were kind of annoying, but the system itself, I kind of liked it at the base.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they took the initiative to go, you know what, we're gonna add on some stuff, kind of buff it up here or there.
Definitely. I think what's happening with Switch 2 is like they're at the point where like third-party titles couldn't come out anymore. Like any third-party game coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series isn't coming to Switch 1. We're past that point.
Sure. Okay, and final thing. Again, did not see it coming. Glad it happened. I was hoping one thing happened, but this kind of happened to kind of replace it. Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, yeah, that. So I watched this Direct in two parts, just on different lunch breaks at work. So I didn't get to Donkey Kong on my first viewing, and so I kind of heard from people, oh yeah, I was hoping for Banjo-Kazooie, and this wasn't that. It was Donkey Kong. So I didn't get my heart broken when it was Donkey Kong, because I love Donkey Kong 64, I love Donkey Kong, but Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite franchise. Banjo-Tooie
Really?
is my favorite game.
See, I forgot about Banjo-Kazooie. I didn't even. That would have been cool too, actually.
Yeah. People, I guess, because like some of the characters are just like objects with eyes, thought it was Banjo, because that's something that they do a lot. But
Right.
I knew it was Donkey Kong, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I initially when the trailer first started, I think a lot of people thought it was going to be another Mario, because they throw those out, you know, pretty frequently, and they're really good. But then, I think 5 seconds in, you saw like 4 monkeys mining, and I think we were all like, no.
I think even before that, like early on, we see like what looks like a giant banana statue in the background.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I guess I
noticed
missed
that. I just watched that second part again this morning.
Because I was just like, they're not going to pull a Donkey Kong out, and oh my God, it's a Donkey Kong.
Well, there've been rumors that there's been a Donkey Kong 3D platformer coming to Switch for like 2 or 3 years now.
Oh, really?
So it's not that surprising, I guess.
Took me out.
It took me out. Yeah.
It's like he can like break through the ground and pick up just hunks of stuff and it just looked fun.
I think that might be a power up.
Oh, really?
Because I noticed that for a lot of this trailer, he's wearing like overalls.
Okay.
Like he has like his tie, and he also has like overalls, which he has a completely new design. He looks way more cartoony in this game than he has in the past. I was like, are these overalls part of his new design? I was kind of unsure about that, because I like Ty, but like the overalls kind of feel like he's becoming too much like Mario. If he's wearing that. I noticed that whenever he's doing like the breaking stuff or the digging stuff, he has his overalls on. But I caught there were a couple clips where he just has a tie. So I'm wondering if the overalls are a power up and there are other power ups.
Okay, like different overalls for different like strengths or whatnot.
Or like different costumes, like, like maybe got wings for like flight or something like that.
That would be cool. That would also be terrifying, seeing a
So-
giant gorilla flying.
So guys, real quick.
Yes.
So with the overalls thing, from what I've seen, because I did take a look at the Treehouse Live, that seems to be a story point that gets after a point in the story, they do actually come off.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
like this giant storm happens, and then his overalls get just ripped off, essentially. And then from that point, he's just
Heck of a storm.
doing his thing. Yeah. He's
Heck
just-
of a tie if his
oh
tie
my
stayed on.
Right.
Yeah, right.
How to tie a tie.
How to
Donkey Kong
tie-
edition. But yeah,
No, not a tie.
that's what it looks like. But I don't know. Maybe he'll get them back later in the game or something. I don't know. But it looks like they're there primarily for when he's doing like the mining part of the game.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe later on, he just gets them and he can still use them. But
He's a professional miner.
when the pants are on, it's time to find gold. That's
Well,
how it works.
That's what my paw says. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think of that, having like a, because that's definitely a thing in Mario where like
Yeah.
he has like different suits for his different powers. So having it in Donkey Kong would make sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I liked how they've been doing this whole different game. Well, older games have done it technically, but newer games have been introducing it more often with like the world destruction thing.
Yeah.
And I'm actually glad that that's becoming more mainstream. But with that, on to next section.
It's more like speculating on the games we saw.
Right.
Gotcha. Well, I guess we already kind of did that with Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like,
I was too
essentially-
excited. I'm sorry.
Yeah, essentially, it'd be like, what are you guys expecting from like the system and some of the games that we got to see? Like, what are you feeling is going to be like the course of these games and the system and that kind of stuff?
Gotcha.
I guess we could start with Mario Kart.
Definitely.
I'm really hoping for a lot of DLC with a lot of new maps.
Definitely. I think that doing the whole open world thing gives them a lot of room to like make the map bigger or more detailed, go more places. I just want to say here, the free roam stuff really excites me.
Yeah.
Mario Kart 64, if you ever played that one.
A little. I played a little.
If you remember, there was a level where you were essentially like playing, it was like a Peach circuit or something, where like, as part of the level, you drive past Peach's castle.
Okay.
It's just in the background. But if you want, you can just completely go off the track, completely decide to lose the race, and just like drive your car around Peach's castle. And it
Really?
looks like it does in Mario 64. It's like, yeah, here are the castle grounds. There's the bridge. There's a moat.
That would be dope.
And it's like, I think that this reminds me of that, this whole open world thing. Like, yeah, there's a racetrack, but just drive around, have fun.
It'll be cool, like with that note. It'd be funny if there were like side quests and mini games.
Oh, definitely.
If they took that route, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Like because racing, it's fun, but after a certain while, racing you can only do so much. But if there were actually like mini side quests, so where like you go in the castle and like grab a penguin or something,
penguin, yeah.
just see if you can get out, boys, and you're just driving, other people are chasing you. That'd be
fun.
hilarious.
I think like for battle mode, that the open world adds a huge yeah, here's racetracks, but there's also just like a world. Check that out.
Yeah.
Look for places to hide here. Ambush your friends.
Yeah, play tag or play like Mario Kart Manhunt. Like the guy that's it. He just goes screens, just goes dark, and everyone just scatters.
Oh,
Just
that
go
would be
to the
neat.
different other worlds.
That would be
It's
amazing.
like, all right, that'd be awesome. I would play that for hours if that actually happened. That, and it would be cool if they had some new skins.
They showed off a lot of costumes.
Yeah.
I think that might be a neat thing to add to the open world for like unlockables. Like you were saying, like quests, like maybe quest, like complete this quest as this character to get this skin for them.
Right.
Something like that.
That would be cool. That's one of the. If you can't tell, Donkey Kong and that are like two of the games that I'm very excited about.
Oh no, don't worry. Same here.
It's gonna be fun. And like the new aspect of like how it's like one long race now.
Yeah,
That's something else I didn't even think about. It's like that's interesting. That's gonna be cool because now it's like a lot of times if it's just one circle, you like pick up techniques. Where now it's like, nah, we're gonna start just lumping these maps together. You're gonna have to figure this out on your own, homeboy.
Kind of reminds me of like I think it's Formula One, or like some of the European style races where it's just like, yeah, just this highway or just like these roads, just like, yeah, we blocked off this town.
Yeah.
Race from point A to point B, just get there.
Yeah.
Like that kind of racing style.
Yeah, I like that. I like that adaptation to it.
Yeah, and guys, you know what else? Like, what's really cool is the fact that you can do all of these different tricks and so on, like wall jumping, grinding on rails and stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that looks phenomenal. Like I was, like initially when I was going into the direct, right? I knew like, okay, we're gonna see this new Mario Kart game. What's it gonna be all about? And then when I was going in, I'm thinking, all right, how are they gonna make it different, right? Like, how are they gonna make it so distinct from the past one? Like, you know, kind of like what they do every generation, right? Like, I think, what was it, Mario Kart Wii, we got, you know, bikes, right?
Yeah.
And then for Mario Kart 8, we had the whole, you can drive upside down and on walls and all this kind of stuff, right? Which, in retrospect, if you think about it, we didn't really get to fully feel that effect. Like, we saw it happen, right? But it didn't really feel like it. But either way, fun game. Still a fun game no matter what. But for this one, like, when they showed off the flipping and doing all this and doing all, I'm like, okay, this is very distinct. Like, and that's just from the courses alone. Like, just in a regular race, you're able to do that kind of thing.
Right.
And that's not even talking about, like, just being able to drive everywhere, like you guys were mentioning. Like, just being able to do that also is crazy.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
all across the world of, you know, in this game. Like, it's just, that's mind-boggling.
Just flat out defying gravity. It's
Yeah.
awesome. That was something I really liked too. The whole like wall riding was awesome.
Oh yeah. The map reminds me of Paper Mario on N64. I kind of had like this map of the Mushroom Kingdom. It kind of looked like things were vaguely placed similar. I'm sure it's not. They're not going to like worry about like, oh, we got to keep consistent with a 30-year-old RPG. But it was neat to see that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. Something else in that game, it would be cool if they put like Luigi's Mansion in there. Like had a Luigi's Mansion map. Or maybe like you're going through the mansion, you gotta dodge ghouls and stuff like that.
They've done that. Luigi's Mansion's been a course in previous games. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in Mario
I got
Kart
to play
DS had it as a course, and in Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube, Luigi had level where like it was essentially like a figure 8 racetrack, and on one extreme end was the mansion, the spooky mansion. And on one extreme end was like the mansion he built as a reward with like all the money he got from beating that game. It was really neat.
Okay. That's interesting.
I like coming on these podcasts or streams because it's that one time my useless Nintendo knowledge is handy for something.
Always and forever, as long as this company stays afloat.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Something I really want to see from this system is throughout the years we've kind of gotten used to lower frame rates, just because Nintendo's always been kind of used to being in third place just because Xbox and PlayStation have existed. But now that they've gotten this new 1080 and FPS increase, I want to see more games that extenuate that.
Definitely.
You know, more games that make you really look at that detail, kind of like the other systems have.
And I think that's something that Nintendo's gone pushing for too. I remember one of the things they showed was like they showed an image of Mario jumping and they captured it like 60 FPS, where it's like, yeah, it looks fine, and then you see 120 FPS, where it's like so many more frames of the animation of him jumping. So I think they are like that's a mission statement for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I almost wonder what game they're going to come out with, because they already did it with the like the game we were speaking about earlier with the wheelchairs.
Yeah.
So they're interested in creating games that extenuate that. So I wonder what game they're going to come out with that's going to kind of really show this new, you know, frame rate. And
I think there was one. I don't think it's going to be like their big show-offy one, but there's one that kind of makes me think of. Scrolling through my notes. Did I not actually like write it? No, I did. Fast Fusion. It looks like fast RFX, like one of those RMX, one of those like F-Zero likes.
Okay.
Since Nintendo doesn't make those anymore, it was like, just a very fast-looking zero-G future racer.
Okay.
That might be a good way to show it off. You're having these carts race at like 2,000 kilometers an hour. That's going to show off the frame rate pretty well if it.
Yeah, I
can
think the name of
handle
that
it.
one was like a Fast Fusion.
Yeah, Fast Fusion.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked really good. And I do appreciate those kinds of games because, like you said, like, come on, Nintendo, F-Zero. Like, you brought back F-Zero 99. And you know what? Let me just kind of speculate here. All right, so they brought back F-Zero 99. Well, not brought back, but they brought back F-Zero using F-Zero 99. And then we have the GameCube coming in for Nintendo Switch 2. And we've got F-Zero GX coming in, right? Mm-hmm. So are they prepping us for a new F-Zero game? Are they kind of saying like, hey, here's a franchise that you guys might want to keep an eye on?
Possibly.
Maybe.
And then, they just bring it back full on. I'm hoping that's the case.
I'm hoping so too, now that you say it. I will say I'm glad that they kind of showed off that the GameCube has like rewind capabilities because F-Zero GX is hard. It's a very difficult game.
Really?
Yes.
What? You said it's like a racing game?
It's a racing game, but like one of the things is like most things you can unlock through the story mode on hard difficulty.
Oh.
And there are some races I can't even beat on easy difficulty.
Oh. So it's one of those like Elder Scrolls type games. I'm sorry, Elder Scrolls. Elden Rings. My brain works, I promise. So it's one of those Elden Rings type games where it's like really difficult and sometimes beating the level is like
you're not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it feels like at times.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Something else with the camera. I feel like a lot of people are hesitant about it. So I almost want to see what else they have for it because it's a camera. It shows your face and you can see other people's face. That's cool, but I almost want to see if there's anything else they have in store with it. Like if there's like going to be, I don't know, something as basic as different backgrounds that kind of coordinate with the game you're playing, or maybe like a whole game where you're on camera and playing with your friends or something like that.
I know. I think Mario. One of the things they talked about was like Switch games that are getting like Switch 2 versions where like there's
Right.
more features.
Right. The new Mario Party game.
Yeah, Mario Party was one of them,
Yeah.
and I think they have a whole mode that's like, we're watching you on camera do things with your real body, and that will determine how you go through this minigame collection. So.
Okay. Yeah. The Bowser mode.
Yeah, Bowser mode.
It's a pure vibes mode. It's like who can amp it up the most, that's who's gonna win. And that looked fun too. I'm hoping they branch out more though.
Oh, definitely.
Kind of almost have the camera have its own game.
Oh,
That'd
yeah.
be kind of cool.
I mean, you mentioned earlier being like a PlayStation person. Like the Sony, the iToy did that back in the day. They had like games specifically for it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the chat here.
Yep. It's like to connect for Xbox. That's a good point. Reminds me of the base station for Oculus. Oh, Danny J, bring Just Dance to the camera mode.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That would be interesting. I'd actually be interested in how that would come about. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty good dance. But that would mean I don't have to play dance. I don't know. That involves sweat.
That doesn't involve sweat. I don't. That's a good point.
That would also involve people seeing me dance. No, cut that. No, never mind.
no.
Never mind. Just I'm not running the risk of that. I want to get YouTube famous.
Yeah, you can be YouTube infamous.
You bounce, breaks camera, falls over. Like, oh, that's like rewind. I know I don't know him.
Clip this.
That could be interesting. Again, it could be good. It could be evil. Only time will tell.
That's actually a good point. I do wonder, like, what sort of like functionality they're going to have with the camera, because I know before the stream we were talking about like streamers and YouTubers. Like, I wonder what, if anything, Nintendo has in the works for like using your Nintendo Switch camera to stream yourself playing Switch games or record videos that you then upload to YouTube.
Right.
Kind of like
maybe they create their own Twitch kick type system.
Nintendo.
Nintendo. Switch it.
Yeah.
Something crazy. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, I wonder if they.
Miiverse too.
Huh?
Miiverse. Nintendo used to have like a whole social media thing called Miiverse. It was for their Wii U.
I was legit about to say that. I'm like, yo, for anyone who's like been watching the channel for a little bit, like there's been so many videos where I'm like speculating about like Switch 2 and what they could do and like some stuff they should add back, right? One of those things was Miiverse, because honestly, like Miiverse, it was so much fun. Like it was a good time. It was a very wholesome time, and it was a place where you could, speculate with people and like, share what you've been doing in your games and so on. Ask people for help. They help you out. And then, of course, you can get to learn if Metroid can crawl or not.
I was going to say, why can't Metroid crawl?
So, like, all of these different things. It was just a really, really fun time. Cool. And I do hope they bring that back in some capacity. Or if not that, just bring back some kind of Nintendo-centric social media thing. That way we can all interact. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. That would be cool. And I actually saw in the direct, it was brief, but some guy was playing a game and he was actually showing his friend like, hey, you have to kind of get over the wall there. And
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that would be very helpful. If you had like a friend who, was either far away or couldn't get to your house and you're like trying to beat a level and they beat it and they're like, hop on the Switch, I'll kind of show you what I did to kind of get past it. Maybe you can do it too.
Definitely.
That would be cool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, there's a couple games I could probably use that on.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, it's that and the mouse adaptation. Not a big deal, but it would be cool if there were more kind of like Civilizations games.
Yeah.
That kind of you could adapt that to. That would be nice.
There
Just
were
another library.
Definitely. There were a couple shooters that they talked about.
That would be cool also.
Obviously Metroid, I'm going to say that again. Hitman.
Yeah.
Hitman, they might be able to do that. The James Bond game.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be cool, yeah. James Bond, like, popping people.
Oh, yeah. GoldenEye remake again, mouse and keyboard this time.
That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty nice.
Hella fun. And just more, I guess, like, overall, they'll naturally probably add more GameCube games to the library. I personally didn't see a lot in the Direct itself. Maybe there's more, they just didn't get the chance to put them on screen.
Yeah.
But there's like a couple of games that like from I know it's the curse system, but there are a couple of games from the GameCube that I'm like I really want them to bring them on.
No, don't get me wrong. I love the GameCube too. I'm not saying cursing it's bad. I'm just saying it's cursing that
In the
every
adaptation.
Every time Nintendo tries to bring it back, something
Right.
happens. And honestly, that might be a good segue to talk about the thing that's kind of happening to the Switch 2. Pricing.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to talk about it eventually.
It's going to have to happen. Yeah. It's so. For those of you who don't know, it's going to be roughly between $450 and $500, and at least as of now, it will be between $450 and $500.
I think $450 was for if you get the Switch itself. $500 was the Mario Kart bundle.
Right. So, because of people doing things to other countries, I'll just put it like that. I try not to get political.
Fair.
That the price might change. So that's just something we have to like kind of adapt to, kind of on its feet, because I think someone said earlier that in the UK you can already pre-order.
Yep.
But because of these things, pre-orders here have been delayed.
Yep. Like if I remember the course of events, they had the Direct Wednesday. Mm-hmm. You could sign up to be put like on a mailing list for getting your pre-order, which of course I assume most people did. If they watched Direct, most people probably did that day.
Right.
And pre-orders were going to start Monday, April 9th.
Okay.
And I think because of those things, I think the whole reason there's that delay between like Wednesday announcement, pre-orders don't go live until next Monday. I think that delay was because the things that people did were done Thursday.
Okay.
So this way we can avoid people getting the Nintendo Switch for $400 or $500, and then because of things that were done, the Switch now costing people $700 to $900.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about what the price is going to be now, because a lot of people are already complaining about the price.
And that's fair. I think more in terms of games. I honestly think $450 for what the Switch 2 has shown us it can do. I think that price makes sense.
Right.
I was I was not surprised.
Right. I think a lot of the shock comes from, again, with being used to lower quality, you get used to a lower price.
Yeah.
As far as like frame rate and stuff like that. The devices have always been good, but just as far as like the frame rate and the graphics.
Graphical quality.
Right. And when you're used to lower graphical quality, you're used to lower price. When you see that new price for this obviously better product, even though it makes sense, when it first hits you, it's like, oh, $450, really for this? But I agree for 1080p, you know, was it 240 frames per second?
I think 120 in
120.
handheld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for that, that's more than reasonable. Especially with that and how many games are coming out that day for it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like 450. Yeah, man, that's reasonable.
I have a couple things to say about that. I think it's kind of important to remember this is Nintendo's first console launch since COVID, which was the last time that things happened, and prices got COVID had its inflation, and we've kind of been dealing with inflation ever since. I think this is the first time Nintendo's putting out new hardware in that new era of inflation. I think that's part of it.
Sure.
I think too, in terms of like the price, I think it's more the games I think that people are upset about, or at least I can see that.
Yeah, the games as well. Yeah. What was it like now? So one of the average prices I've seen was like 80.
Yeah, I think it's like Mario Kart 8. If you don't get it in the bundle, it's 90 physical, 80 digital.
Okay.
Actually, no. So it is $80 across the board.
Oh, it is?
Yes, it is $80 across the board. If you look across pretty much every retailer, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, it is $80 flat.
Interesting.
So there is no $90. So that is not a thing. Potentially, maybe, this is me speculating, maybe in Canada.
Oh, maybe that's what I was.
Maybe in Canada, but here in the States, it is $80. That is the max that we've seen from any Nintendo Switch 2 game.
Okay, that makes sense. Maybe because that is one of the few things I saw, like people talk about between the Direct and now. Maybe that's just someone pricing it in Canada.
Right, and of course, wherever, even with no one's gonna price convert. They're gonna see the high price and just go, I can't believe it's $90, but then you find out it's from Canada. It's like, oh, that's different. But yeah, it's gonna make things more difficult. Even people who like us who understand the price, sometimes you are just priced out.
Exactly.
And you just can't get it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the how many people actually buy it.
Definitely.
How many people are actually able to,
And I think something that's important when we're talking about prices is like everyone's different, everyone's circumstances are different. For me personally, $500 for a game and a console and a game bundle, doable.
Right.
Save a little bit, doable, won't even notice. But not everyone is where I happen to be in life, especially if you're a parent. That's I'm sure a hard thing to worry about. Or if you're just in like a different type or different like rate of pay for employment, that becomes a lot harder, I'm sure, for some people.
Right, because $500 is a nice chunk of change.
And $80
for most people in general.
Yeah, and $80 is a lot to pay for games if you're used to paying $60. I remember when people were upset that Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom was $70 instead of $60.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember that too. It was honestly it was kind of jarring to see that $70 initially, because like you expect $60 across the board. Like it had been what Switch launched in 2017, 2023, so that was like what 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So for 6 years we were dealing with a $60 price point, which of course when that initially happened, people were, they were feeling it. They're like, no, we don't like this. But then of course we acclimated. But once we had that $70 come in, it was really weird. I was like, why exactly? But I understand like development costs and so on. I definitely get that. But it was a weird thing. And then with the Switch 2, right? Having these price points, it really was jarring. I'm not even gonna lie.
Fair.
Because initially, like, I hadn't really like looked at the prices and all that kind of stuff like right after the Direct. I was just kind of like enamored by what happened. I'm like, yeah, all the stuff, all the things. And then I start hearing stuff about, $80 game. I'm like, no, that can't be true. That's not real. Looks at Target. Oh, this is a thing.
This is happening.
And yeah, it's just the $80. That's really off-putting. I'm not gonna lie. Like my thing is, and this is of course for me personally, right? Like you were saying, Tommy, everyone is different. Everyone has circumstances that allow for certain financial things. Everyone has their budget, to put it simply. And for me, like I'd be okay with 70. It's not favorable, to be honest. Of course, being used to $60. But with 70, I honestly kind of factored that in as like being a thing. I felt like that's where the industry's going. We've got PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, the Series consoles, $70 for their games, right?
Right.
And Nintendo being $60 for a super long time. And I'm thinking, okay, with this new console, we know it's going to be like 4K. I mean, if you were following like the rumors, leaks, and all that kind of stuff, you kind of assumed it's gonna be more powerful. So more power means you're gonna have to, deal with maybe a higher price point. $70, I factored that into a degree. I was like, okay, it's gonna suck, but that's what it might be. But again, that $80 is a little bit weird, and I'm really curious as to, are we going to see $70 being like the normal price for like games for the Switch 2 across the board, and then we have like the quote unquote premium $80 games? Like that's what I'm thinking may end up happening. I hope it doesn't. I hope things change with, the things that are happening to other countries right now. I hope that really I hope that stops. And then that way we can maybe get a price drop, hopefully.
I think that might depend on... I think there are a couple different factors for why games are $80. I would not be surprised if some of it is due to the cartridge hardware itself, because I know that the Switch games, like you take a game that is ported to both the Switch and the PlayStation physically. The Switch version costs more to make because making a cartridge over a disc just costs more money, and especially that these are, I'm assuming in some way special, or newer, more advanced cartridges that can perhaps hold more data or can be read faster.
Yeah.
Kind of like how they talked about the micro SD cards being different. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the physical games cost more, and then for parity, Nintendo doesn't want physical buyers to be paying more than digital buyers for a multitude of reasons. So that's, at that point, this game is now $80.
Right.
How much of the price is that versus things happening to other countries and then back to ourselves? Who can say?
Yeah. Probably a light combination of both.
Yeah.
It's like, we were already going to charge a little more for this because it's doing more, but now this is happening, so now we really got to... Because from what you were saying, Ravin, maybe 70 was the initial plan, but then things started getting a little right. Maybe the things that were happening weren't happening, but maybe they kind of thought they may have been happening at some point.
I think things had been happening a little bit.
Okay.
And then there was a sharp uptick in things happening, like starting this Thursday.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it seemed like just based off of those initial prices, right? Like we saw the $449 for base model, $500 for the, or $499, however you want to consider it, for the bundle, right?
It's $500.
And it is.
After tax, it's actually more than 500.
Pretty much. Yeah. So
I mean,
yeah, the monies. So with that, right? I kind of assumed, like, just seeing those initially, I'm like, okay, they factored in the things that are happening to other countries, because a multiplicity of different things, right? During the time of the rumor mill circulating for the Switch 2, right? Stuff about the parts and the shipping and the manufacturing, right? Mm-hmm. There were it was known that Nintendo was essentially migrating their manufacturing from being primarily China to other countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and right now, those countries are getting things done to them. Don't take that the wrong way. And it's not good for Nintendo right now, because they're going to have to deal with that. And yeah. I think before all that, though, they understood that these things were coming. They wanted to factor that into the price. And so that's why we had those initial price points. And of course, to the point of what you guys were talking about just now, is like developmental reasons, right? Like, what kind of power are you putting into this system? What kind of storage are the carts going to have? And all of that does get factored into the price, like you said.
True. Yeah, yeah, just a lot of different things happening at the same time, which is why, like you were saying, when I saw the price, it was kind of like, yeah, I wasn't even mad. I was just kind of like, no, that makes sense, unfortunately.
Especially too when you figure, like, for most consoles, the console's a bit of a loss leader. Like, I think it's common for like companies that make consoles, they lose a little bit of money when you buy a console. Like you're paying not what it cost them to make it, but then once you have the console, you're going to be paying for games which cost them way less in that ratio. So that's also it's how they make up, and that's why I think the Switch 2 itself isn't priced that unexpectedly, whereas the games, if they're doing the same sort of like loss lead way to make money, they kind of gotta to make it worth their while.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. It's just stuff. I'm not that mad. I think that's my final take on it. It's just I'm kind of glad that at least we're still in the kind of lower realm, because I've seen worse prices for other systems.
Definitely.
But with that, on to the next segment.
Yes.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk about, what we're hoping for when it comes to the Switch 2, our overall, like, just speculation about what games could come potentially, what some of these games are going to be like, and of course, other features that may end up coming on down the road. Miiverse, please. But
right.
So I'll start off.
Miiverse too.
So I'll start off, and I'm really hoping that man, I know this has been like driven home by so many different people, and that's gonna be themes. Like I want to see themes on the Switch 2, right? Like on the original Switch, we've got we've got themes there, but we only have black and white, and that is it. We don't have anything else. But the theme section is there. If you have a specific section for it, are you gonna do more with it? At least I hope so.
I would hope.
So I would definitely love to see a lot of like game related themes, like Legend of Zelda, Mario, Shantae, because I love the Shantae series. But that's what I want to see. I want to see themes for sure, and then for other types of games, I want to see some classics make comebacks. Like we're getting, like I said, we're getting F-Zero, granted remake, not really remakes, but they're bringing back older titles or titles that look relatively old. No shade to F-Zero 99, it's the the old school style.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we can see something like Star Fox again. Because it's been a long time. I think the last time we had it was, I believe, on the Wii U with Star Fox Zero.
Why did you remind us of that?
And that one, some people
we have
liked
to
it,
heal,
some people
so we have to confront it.
didn't really vibe with it, so I only got to play the demo, so I guess I was relatively untainted. But yeah, Star Fox, I would love to see that come back. And I'm checking the chat right here where we got Danny hoping for a new edition of Super Mario Sunshine and
that would be fun.
Pokemon Stadium.
Pokemon Stadium, I know.
I mean, with Pokemon Stadium, I don't really, this isn't me trying to rain on the parade or anything. I'm thinking Pokemon Champions is going to be the new Pokemon Stadium. I really feel like that's going to be the thing that kind of encompasses all that we knew from the Stadium games, except for the mini games and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe they'll add that in too. Who knows? Okay. But yeah, there's a lot that I'd love to see from this console. But before I dive too deep, let me let you guys get into that as well.
I'm just going to quickly. Danny mentioned Pokemon Stadium. I did notice in that lineup of GameCube games they showed off, they did. So last time you were here, Sean talked about how they did not mention Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness when they did the Pokemon Champions trailer. They were in the Switch 2's GameCube trailer. Both game boxes showed up. So,
okay.
I mean, between that and having the N64 having Pokemon Stadiums 1 and 2, yeah, the Switch 2 will be a decent home for Pokemon Stadium past games.
Cool. I'm hoping for... Danny brought up Mario Sunshine. I'm hoping for, honestly, I'll go even further. I'm hoping for any 3D Mario game.
Oh yeah.
Because I was actually shocked that they didn't even hint at one in this direct.
I think I know why though.
Really? Why is that?
I think that's because Mario Kart 8 is the best-selling game for the Wii U and for the Switch.
Oh.
So I think if they want to lead off with a game to sell the Switch too, Mario Kart 8 is not a bad one. And figure these are games that we typically only get one of per generation. Like we get a Mario Kart game, we get a 3D Mario game. Let's not front load the Switch too. Let's give it some time. We have a 3D platformer, Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out.
True.
We'll see. Let's spend more time seeing what we can do with this new hardware, and that will be our 3D Mario down the line.
Okay. How far down the line do you think we're talking? 2 years? 3?
I'd say between a year and 2. I don't think it'd be too long, but I think they don't feel the need to have 3D Mario yet.
Right.
While they have Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza kind of filling both halves of that niche.
Fair. I almost wonder if because people loved Odyssey.
Oh yeah,
people loved
absolutely.
it. There are people who play it to this day. But like we've had a lot of 3D Marios, and as far as I can think back, I can only think of 2 3D Donkey Kongs at the top of my head. So I wonder if this one really takes off, will they start to kind of lean more into 3D Donkey Kongs?
I don't think I think if this one takes off, there'll be more 3D Donkey Kongs,
Right.
but I don't think it will ever replace 3D Mario.
Not replace,
Oh, yes, yeah.
but like lean more into it. Where maybe it's not a one per console thing. Now it's like you might get a 3D Mario, or you might just get another 3D Donkey Kong. Not like overcompensation of it, but more like, well, we're kind of lacking on this. Maybe do a little more of these and kind of put these in kind of in between.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they do them right, I'm always down. But again, I'm just super excited about that. That looks really fun. I haven't played a Donkey Kong game in forever.
Donkey Kong 64 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because like my cousin had it, but we only played the
multiplayer.
And of course she was way older than me,
Yeah.
so she would destroy me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what, this is a stupid game. I don't like it. I want to go home. But it was always fun though.
Yeah. Whereas I was jobs that I didn't really have anyone like to play like Nintendo games with growing up, so I've really honed in on the single player. I've never really touched the multiplayer in Donkey Kong 64.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Another game I really want to see, and Rav, I think you're going to be with me on this. Super Smash.
I was wondering when we were going to get to it.
Yes.
I knew it was going to come out.
Yes.
Me the smash.
Okay, choose your words, but okay. But yeah, it always looks fun. I never play with him because he's very competitive, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
But I really want to see another Smash game. I want to know what they're going to call it. Different characters, and I'm very excited to see it, because it's going to happen.
Oh, it's a Nintendo console. It's absolutely
You
going
can't
to
increase the system, have better frame rate, 1080p, and not get a new Smash, because it's going to look great.
That's true.
Yeah, I was thinking that initially when we were going into the direct, I thought that maybe we'll get like a little tease of the next Smash Bros, right? Because it's the kind of game where if you show that off at any point, it doesn't matter when it is, the hype will ensue.
Oh, absolutely.
That is how it works. That is Smash Bros. All right?
Absolutely.
And I was thinking they would just do a quick tease, like no gameplay or anything, right? Because I honestly, even though it has been since 2018 that we've had a Smash game, I feel like we're not gonna get anything too soon. If anything, it's gonna be like my initial thoughts were, it would have been like maybe a 2026 game if they had shown it off. It would have been like, okay, Smash is coming out 2026, which would kind of fall in line with the launch window of how it worked for the Switch, where Switch came out 2017, 2018, we got Smash. So who knows? We've got Nintendo Directs galore that are probably going to be coming out this year, and we might see something like that. We might see some sort of indication of a Smash game, and you know what? I would be very okay with that.
I bet you would.
I'd be
Oh, yeah.
very, very
Another
okay.
platform to bully your friends on.
Shantae for Smash.
Oh, God.
Oh man, I think what kind of I think it doesn't feel like it's been almost 8 years since the last Smash game. I think that's partially because the DLC cycle for Smash Ultimate was so like you had new characters being announced in like 2020, I think maybe in 2021, like because they had like 3 DLC passes for that game. I believe it was 3. So I think that kind of helps make.
Well, you mean
the
like
game.
for the Fighters Pass, right?
Fighters Pass? Yeah.
Yeah, I think they had.
Was it 2 or 3?
It might have been 3 because I know you had like the first wave was like Banjo and
My heart.
yes, Banjo. I think Steve from Minecraft. Then what Joker was in there as well, and then the next one was like Hero, Terry, and a few others. I'm trying to remember as much as I can. And then of course the final one had some heavy hitters, and then of course at the end Sora. Which I'm sorry, I'm gonna kind of just get into this real quick.
Go for it.
With Sora coming to Smash, that was such a hype moment. And look, I haven't even finished Kingdom Hearts. I played like a little bit of Birth by Sleep.
Now you can't make fun of me because I brought up not beating
Breath of the
Legend
Wild
of Zelda.
and everything.
You
No,
haven't
look,
beat Kingdom Hearts.
Look,
Sir.
I'm still on like the Hercules section, and not because I got stuck. Not because I got stuck. It's because I just stopped playing. I was like, I'm
worse.
gonna go do other things. But it's a fun game. It really is. It really is. But even though I had never like played through all of the games and everything, I understood the impact that Sora has as a character, right?
yeah.
So like, there are still times where I literally go back and look at like the reaction videos of people seeing Sora come to Smash, and it's like, that little tear of nostalgia just comes down, even though I've never had those memories. But still, I vibe with the people who really wanted him to get in. Yeah, just that's my quick aside.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah, as you were.
As a quick thing, I've never played a single Kingdom Hearts game, but because I lived in a house with people who were Kingdom Hearts fans, I have seen like the pack-in, I think, DVDs that were just collections of cutscenes from Kingdom Hearts games.
yeah.
I think
We
it's funny
take what we can get, okay? We have to. You know why? It's not even that we love the game. We're just still trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So okay, maybe if we just get the video and go over it again, we can understand why that guy looks like that guy, but they've never even met. Like,
because I can draw so many. I can only draw so many people.
at this point, I'm willing to take that because there have been multiple times I'm just like, this doesn't make any. You know what? Okay, fine, just do it. I'm gonna buy it. It's gonna happen. But yeah, that was extremely hype. I didn't.
Yeah.
I almost don't know why they did it because it's like, you look at the certain games that they put in. I was like, huh, Sora. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think I know why. I think they said that like when they, I want to say after Smash Bros. Brawl or Smash Bros. 4, they did like a DLC poll, like, hey, what characters would you like to add to Smash?
Oh, it was
And
okay.
and Sora was like I think the #1 character. I want to
Well,
say
that
it
makes
was like
sense.
Sora, maybe Bayonetta, and Ridley were the top 3.
Ridley from.
Metroid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's why they pushed for Sora, and Sakurai someone sold to Disney to get that to happen.
Okay. I remember when he got in, and then at some point Sephiroth got in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
That was like, oh, this is gonna be cool.
The Sephiroth one was fun.
The
So,
long sword.
Guys, so we're mentioning stuff from Sakurai, right?
Yes.
So we have to bring this up, okay?
Okay.
Because
We got it.
this was probably my most hype moment from the Direct.
Okay.
And it was specifically the fact that we're getting the sequel to one of my favorite GameCube games. And that GameCube game is Kirby Air Ride. Like, I am so happy we are getting Kirby Air Riders. Like,
Okay.
Like, oh my gosh. Like, when I saw the little cutscene where, like, Kirby's flying down trying to pick up the Pop Star, which, for those of you watching the stream, you're seeing that right now. And when it gets to the portion where I'm like he turns it on, I'm like, nah, this couldn't be this couldn't be air ride. Nah, not at all. And then they do the little zoom in thing, which everyone is actually seeing right now. And then it pops up with the jet. I'm like, no, this can't be. And then, of course, tears of nostalgia. I will be very open about that. And I'm just so hyped. Like, this is what Sakurai has been working on. And I'm so excited for it. Like, a lot of people were thinking it was going to be like Kid Icarus Uprising remake or something like that. And you know what? That would have been cool. Like, I never got to play Uprising. That'd be really fun. But Kirby Air Riders, like, I'm so hyped. so ready for that game.
Fair. Yeah. It looked good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never heard about it before, but the trailer looked really fun.
Yeah.
How old was the first one?
Like at least 20, I want to say, because it's a GameCube game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. About time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Average Nintendo racing fan. When your game isn't Mario Kart, you wait like decades between games.
Which it's understandable given how many other things they have.
Yeah.
Another game. I'm sure there's a reason, but there was nothing about any Monster Hunter game.
Yeah. If I had to guess, it's because they just released Wilds, and I'm not sure if the Switch 2 can run Wilds, given how hard computers and consoles are finding Wilds to run. So
with that, I definitely want to chime in on that one. So
Okay.
Monster Hunter Wilds, honestly, I see that coming to the Switch too, hands down.
You think so?
I think
Capcom's
so.
relationship with Nintendo too dang strong. Like, just as a recap for like the Switch 1, right? When that was coming out, initially it was going to have less RAM than it currently does, which is 4 gigs. The reason it has that 4 is because Capcom came to Nintendo and was like, hey, up the RAM, we've got something for your console. And that game was Monster Hunter Rise.
Okay.
Now, with Wilds, let's talk specs real quick. Because with the RAM that is currently in the Nintendo Switch 2, it's got like 12 gigs of RAM. It's run by an NVIDIA Tegra T239, which has DLSS, so it can do upscaling, and so on. So I feel like they're going to be putting this game on the Switch 2. Now, here's the thing with like it not really running well on PCs and so on. That's because, honestly, and of course, if there's anyone who's a developer in the chat or knows anyone who's a developer, from what I've heard, it's harder to develop for a PC specifically because there's so much variation, right?
that is true.
Like, you could have something that has like let's say an NVIDIA RTX, like, I don't know, 3060. Then you got something else that has like a 4080, right? Mm-hmm. So mid-tier, like maybe like mid-performance level is going to be different for both of those systems, both of those PCs. They could be running, NVIDIA graphics card, but it's going to be very different. Whereas with a console, that is essentially a one-to-one, right? A Switch 2 is a Switch 2 is a Switch 2.
Right.
Which means it's remember, game devs don't take me like too seriously with this one, but I'm not going to say it's going to be easy to develop for it, but it's going to be easier than something that's a bit more varied in power and you're trying to gauge for what kind of system someone has.
Right.
With the Switch 2, with the PS5, with the Xbox Series X, all of those consoles respectively, they're the same across the board. So at that point, once you optimize for one, you've optimized for the entire suite of that particular system.
That makes sense.
That's true.
So
That
I
makes a lot of
definitely
sense.
feel like Wilds is going to be coming. It's just a matter of time. We've got more directs, I'm sure.
Fair.
Right? We got probably a few more years with the Switch 2, and it's just a matter of time.
I'll be honest. I kind of disagree. I don't think Wild is coming to the Switch 2. I do think Monster Hunter will come to the Switch 2.
Okay.
Monster Hunter's been in this pattern for a while of a console Monster Hunter, then a portable Monster Hunter, and then a console again. They've been in kind of that cycle. I think the Switch 2 is going to be the next portable Monster Hunter. And we just had the console one, so I'd say probably 2-ish years we'll start hearing about the Switch 2's Monster Hunter. It's my guess.
Okay.
Yep.
I can see that happening. All right. Well, another game I want to see on it. I don't know how likely if it's going to happen, but I think it'd be really cool. I don't know if you've ever played Marvel Rivals.
No, I've not. I've remain outside that zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's fun. It would be cool if it came to the Switch too. Like I said, it's kind of a long shot. It's just something I want. I'm not going to say I've been hearing ramblings about. No, it's just something I just think would be cool because it's just another one of those games that's really interesting, really interactive, very versatile.
It's Overwatch with Marvel heroes,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
I think it's likely. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't come to Switch. It's like the most like beloved, successful, competitive
Right now, definitely.
like 5v5 game. I think there's no reason why it wouldn't. Honestly, I think you're likely to see that.
That would be cool. I would love that. Outside of that, just more.
More definitely.
More, yeah.
I think there's, especially with the mouse controls on the Joy-Cons, I think there's room for a lot more. We were talking earlier about like Civ 7, a lot more PC games. Obviously not like the high-end stuff.
Right.
But like, as an example, City Skylines, kind of like the new SimCity game, that came to Switch. I would not be surprised if that gets like a Switch 2 edition where you can use the mouse controls to play City Skylines, because it was a PC game originally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of games that may have started on PC and are coming to Switch, or just games that have mouse controls for PC, might start getting that feature across the board.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Are those games like what he was saying with being able to port games to different computers and how it's easier for, I guess, to kind of spread out on console? Would that be an easy transition?
So City Skylines 1, like one of the things about it was incredibly well optimized.
Okay.
Like even when it came out, like computers that were kind of lower end, like not that good hardware, could play this game no problem.
Right.
So it coming to Switch was not that surprising. I think it coming to Switch 2 would be easy, and then just adding the mouse controls would be huge. I think there's a lot of games like that like might be older PC games, or just might be like not AAA, like not like the super big, flashy, intense graphics games. I think there's a lot of room for those games to come to Switch with those mouse controls and be good to play.
Yeah. Good.
So, guys, with this whole Switch 2 thing, right? Like, one thing I think we definitely have to talk about is third party, right? There's a lot of third party support with the Switch 2. And right here at launch, which is kind of reminding me a little bit of what happened with the Wii U. The Wii U initially had a lot of third party support, like day one, which is fun. But, of course, at the end of its life, everyone was like, no, we're jumping ship, forget this thing, which meant that the Switch initially didn't have all that much third-party support, because everyone was burnt by the Wii U.
Right.
But with the success of the Switch and it becoming, I think, like the third best-selling console on the planet, it's something that people want to be a part of. They want to have their games on it. That way they can capitalize as much as possible on that user base, especially the user base that's going to be moving from the Switch to the Switch 2.
Right.
And I think with the showcasing of these third parties at that Direct on Wednesday, it was Nintendo saying, look, we know what you want. We've got more of what you guys want. We've got a very diverse set of games coming to this console, and there's no need to worry. You guys will be good. And I was really, really happy to see that in that Direct, because in the Direct, they had, like, I think 3 different instances of showing off third-party support. Like, we got to see stuff like Borderlands 4. We got to see Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade coming. All of these different games. And then, of course, like, they had that, and they had another section, and they had, like, the sizzle reel. Like, third-party stuff is really, I think, going to be a big part of the Switch 2, and I'm definitely really happy about that.
And I mean, the sizzle reel, I was trying to take notes. Like at first, I was trying to write like each game that was coming to Switch. We have like Cyberpunk, Civ 7, Borderlands 4, Enter the Gungeon 2. We talked earlier about Duskblood. But for the sizzle reel, there were too many games for me to write down. I think the only one I actually wrote down was Fast Fusion, because it looks like an F-Zero game. But I think, Rav, because you talked about comparing the Switch 2's third-party support to the Wii U third-party support, I think it's also kind of important to point out this is like better quality third-party support. And by that, I mean a lot of the Wii U third-party support was games that had been out for a while. Like, if I remember correctly, Assassin's Creed 3 had been out for a while. Mass Effect 3 had been out for a couple years.
Right.
Batman Arkham City had been out for a while. Like, yeah, there was third-party support, but it was mostly ports of older games.
Yeah.
Last-gen games, like 360 games as opposed to Xbox One and PS4 games. Whereas the third-party support that we saw a lot of in this was, hey, here's a look at our upcoming Borderlands game. Here's a look at, like, not all new games. Like, Dustblood is new. Borderlands is new. Silksong, seeing that coming out finally this year.
Right?
This time
oh my
for
gosh,
sure.
Everyone's been waiting for that one.
But, like, it felt like it was mostly either new games or games that had come out recently or at least had some form of DLC. Like, I think the oldest third-party game that I remember that was being announced as being ported to Switch was Cyberpunk, which has had DLC semi-recently.
Right.
Yes.
And from what it's looking like, the Switch 2 is getting the Ultimate Edition of it. So that means I forgot the name of the DLC. It's like Liberty something. And yeah, that's going to be on the Switch 2 as well. So like, it's really good that they're bringing in all of these relatively new games and just supporting the Switch 2 in that kind of way. And yeah, it's going to be nice to just play all of these games. I'm definitely picking up Cyberpunk when it drops, which is launch day.
Nice.
Nice.
It's funny that the Switch 2 is going to have the best launch experience of Cyberpunk because the Switch 2 is the only console that the game was finished before being released to.
That's going to help.
That's going to help a lot.
Because I've seen a lot of video on just that game just falling apart.
There was like the most fun you could have with that game for the first year.
Actually, I'm surprised. Like, how did that thing get out? Like, I feel like halfway through you see one of those glitches and you're just like, we're gonna have to push this back. I'm not signing off on this.
I think they had pushed it back as far as they could.
And that's what we got.
Yeah, no, because if I remember correctly, that game had gotten delayed for like, I think a year or two. Like, it'd be like, all right, coming out 3 months later. Hey guys, sorry, we need 5 more months. Hey guys, you won't believe it. We need 3, like that for I think a year or two. And they
April
were like,
Fools. No, but seriously.
and they were like, yo, we need to make some money back on this game. I'm sorry.
I guess, but that I don't care how bad your money is. That backlash wasn't worth it. You saw people legitimately losing faith in a company.
That's true.
Like in a realest way possible.
But I mean, it's one of the games of the last decade that had that turnaround story. Like, I would say, I'll talk about it. I'm sorry, but Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy 14, and No Man's Sky. These are games that had disastrous launches, but the developers were like, "We'll work on it," and they did. They turned all 3 of these games around.
Fair.
So I mean, I think that helps get them back a little bit of grace.
I hope so. I would hope so. It did. Now when I see it, it's definitely a lot better. And the fact that it's what you were saying earlier, like this is the first system it's going to be on to where it's like, no, we promise. it's actually okay this time.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah. But any other games you want to see on it? There's like a handful that I would be intrigued to see.
So it's funny because this game in no way really like is using the Switch's hardware to its fullest, but Metroid Samus Returns. It was a remake of the original Game Boy Metroid 2 that came to the 3DS when the Switch was already out. And currently, between new games that release for the Switch or just like games that are put on the Switch as part of like their classic games like being upported, there's only one Metroid game that you can't currently play on Switch, and it's that one.
Oh.
So I would love for that game, Samus Returns, to be ported to the Switch too.
Okay.
Besides that, I'm kind of interested, because we talked about the mouse controls a lot. I'm wondering if they might make some sort of, because I've seen it for like PCs where it's kind of like a mini keyboard that just has like the keys you would need for like first-person shooters games, or like MMOs. I wonder if they might release like something like that for the Switch, where you can have your Switch 2 mouse and a small keypad to use for
like a mini Switch 2 keyboard.
Yeah, like a mini. Yeah, for like more traditional computer style mouse and keyboard gaming.
That'd be interesting. It's like a little WASD.
Yeah, WASD
and like a
escape,
Z for your ult.
space bar.
Just 1/2.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would. I'm laughing, but it's like no, that would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Since you already got the mouse here, and it seems like come out with a whole keyboard. That would be ridiculous. But just
Yeah.
like the keys you would need for like your common MMOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just like make the real thing that exists, the GameCube controller where it's like 1/2 is here, 1/2 is here, and there's a full keyboard in between. Just put that on the Switch too.
Worth the shot.
Yeah.
If you make enough money, and just like, I got a couple stunts. We could do this. It's Nintendo at the top. And
Definitely.
yeah, that'd be interesting. But I also really want another Pokemon game.
Oh yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm interested to see which direction they go, because they already have the kind of what style is like the Arceus?
Oh, like the Legends games where it's like kind of like more collecty based.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to see if they go that way or if they kind of continue with how the last
Scarlet
one.
Violet.
Right.
So I got good news for you. They're making. It seems like Pokemon's going in like kind of two directions for their game series, because they have this year later on Legends ZA, which is more of a Legends Arceus style game. It's just set in a different region,
Okay.
a different time period. So I think we are going to see that coming this year, and I think probably next year we'll see more the traditional Pokemon like Scarlet and Violet style gameplay. So I think we are going to get both.
Good. Well, that's good. Awesome.
Definitely.
All right, cool. I think we hit everything. Any final thoughts?
I like what I saw at the Switch 2 Direct. I hope that the system can launch well. I think at this point, I think Nintendo really only made one mistake, and that was that packing game. That game that should be a packing game, not being a packing game.
Right.
I hope that the things that are happening don't cause the system to fail unfairly. And I'm looking forward to getting it when I'm able to.
Fair.
Hopefully launch day.
I'm kind of thinking in the same vein. I think the only thing that stops the Switch at this point is itself. I mean, even with the things that are happening and with the price increase, I think a lot of people who have wanted this system for a while, the ones that are able to get it, the price, be it annoying, I don't think it's a big enough barrier to where they're flat out not going to get it for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like it's giving us so much, and it's the games that they're putting out in launch are so appealing that I think a lot of people are willing to kind of look past the price to kind of take that bite to get these games that they've been wanting for a while.
Yes.
And I think the only thing that could really, mess this up is if it comes out and there's just some glitch that's just so horrible that it makes the system almost unplayable.
Like,
You know what I
if
mean?
it's built in such a way that it overheats itself and 2/3 of the
Right.
system fail.
Like you got two fans, neither of them work.
Yeah.
Guys, you know what I mean? Like something like that, or like with one, I think it was the Xbox had like the red ring of death.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the overheating.
Yeah, it's like or something to where it's just like, I wanted this, but I simply cannot operate it. That's really the only thing that I could see, kind of messing this system up, because everything looks good, it looks clean, and a lot of it is what we've been asking for. The only thing that hasn't been proven yet, that off the top of my mind, that it really can't, is how well they've tackled the stick drift problem.
True.
That's going to take years, or
Quite
at least one.
literally, Reg, to chime in on that.
Okay.
I was literally about to bring that up because
Okay.
because I did want to mention that because they did change the Joy-Con to have Hall effect control sticks.
Okay.
Which means that is going to alleviate the issue of Joy-Con drift.
Oh well,
Yeah,
there you go. Okay.
So
Yeah, just
Yeah.
as long as they don't mess it up,
I'm
we should be good.
I'm interested in how well the magnets work as a connection mechanism. Like we talked earlier about like why they might have done it, and it's one of the things where, like you were saying with stick drift, we can't know until we actually are holding it in our hands how well the magnets hold things in place or not.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. It could be interesting. I'm hoping I feel like something like that can only mess up if they actively try to make it complicated. 'Cause magnets work.
Yeah.
they click on. But I feel like if they try to add on something that wasn't necessary, that maybe that could mess it up. But I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping that it's pretty straightforward and does its thing, pretty consistently.
Yeah,
Nintendo
I'm
is
really
not-
hoping that like they do have the little locking mechanism for the Joy-Con and everything.
Right.
Of course, we got to make sure that, when this gets into people's hands, this thing actually holds, right? We don't want it to
Yeah.
be something where you just rip it off. I mean, granted, in the trailer, they did show that it's not going to rip off, but that's dependent on how much force you are putting on that thing.
Right.
God
God forbid.
And how much repeated strain, too. Like, yeah, the first time you open the Switch, too, sure. 2 years later, 3
Falls right
years
off,
later.
right?
Right.
Yeah, so you got to make sure that thing actually does hold, and I really hope it does. And I will say, though, like, compared to the rail system, which I have heard of people quite literally breaking their rails off of their Switch because it, like, gets, like, flopped in a weird way or something. And I really hope that that's going to be a thing of the past with these magnetic Joy-Con, or Joy-Con 2, to be more specific.
True.
So, yeah, I'm hoping for the best with this thing. And guys, what I want to do is like let's kind of wrap things up a little bit here. Let's go with our final thoughts, and also for those of you who are in the chat, please let us know your thoughts about the Switch 2, and we're actually going to bring those up as we get kind of finished up with what we're about to say. So, get those thoughts and opinions ready. Now, to kind of start us off, I really, really hope that this whole situation to countries that is happening doesn't too heavily impact the Switch 2 moving forward, and it's going to be a lot more affordable for everyone across the board. And I just want people to be able to play the games they want to play, right? Like,
Right.
just the other day, I made a video where I was talking about the prices, and one of the things I mentioned was, like, I get why these things are happening. I get the reasoning behind it, like, the logical, cause effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, this is a heavy hit to, us as gamers trying to, play the next Nintendo system. And not being able to have access to the things that we love and care about. A lot of people have their favorite games. Some people just absolutely love Mario Kart, right? And them seeing a price of $80, it's jarring, right? Like that's the big thing. It's really, really jarring for some people, and I'm really hoping that again the prices they either don't go up or they come down and things become a lot more affordable. And then of course, when it comes to the console, I'm really hoping that they utilize a lot of it, because with this whole Joy-Con 2 mouse thing. Like, that's a cool feature. That's a really awesome thing. And when I was looking at the Treehouse Live footage, they were showing a bit of, what was it? What was the game again? It was the remaster of Bravely Default.
Oh my god.
And there was this one section where, like, it was a mini game that they added in that was specific for the Switch 2, where you're, like, in, like, the pilot seat of, like, this airship, and you're doing all of these different things at once using both mouse Joy-Con to, like, turn on the AC, turn on the heat. You're gonna, move this one lever like this and I'm thinking there is so much there's so many possibilities with a feature like that. Mm-hmm. And I really hope they incorporate it as much as they can in a meaningful way, because I'm gonna look at what is it, the infrared camera on the right Joy-Con, I think it is currently for the Switch.
I think so.
That thing is barely used. Like, I think there was 1-2 Switch, and then this other random game about, like, being a spy. And I'm talking about, like, this is like some random $2 game off the eShop. This isn't something like Nintendo did this. Like, no, just some rando was like, I'm gonna use this feature that no one else uses.
Simulator.
So
Some
I want to
dude
see
felt bad for
more
it. It
of
was
the
just like-
console be utilized, and these new things, be done in a meaningful way.
Right.
As for games and so on, I have some thoughts, but I'll let you guys talk about that. We'll come back to me after that, after you guys talk about games and whatever you guys are hoping for the Switch 2.
Okay.
All right.
Honestly, I like what I saw, and I'm just hoping that things look and come about as well as I'm seeing, and I really can't ask for much more, especially out of first launch.
Oh yeah.
You know, out the gate we have all this. I really can't ask for much more. I just hope everything's kind of going well at the start, and that's really all I can ask for.
As far as GTA 6, I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with the GTA games. I played a little bit of 5. Without having seen the game, because I don't think it's out for anything right now,
No.
I can't say for sure. From what I've seen in the trailers, I don't see anything that looks too graphically demanding for it coming to the Switch 2.
Not really.
I'm going to have to call that a hard maybe.
Yeah, I could see it. It's a very interesting title to bring to the Switch. Like what I was saying earlier about how a lot of Switch games tend to be light and very, you know, happy, feely type stuff. Bringing like GTA to it is kind of like, okay, especially this GTA. I don't know how much do you know about GTA 6?
It's set in Florida, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's about all.
and that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's Florida. How much of
Say no
Florida do you want to play?
I'm excited for people to play GTA 6 and go, wow, this is ridiculous. This is made up nonsense. And us who know
Like, no.
to just go, they toned it down.
Oh yeah, they're probably gonna have to.
Yeah.
Like certain aspects of that game, if they really want to relate it to actual Florida living, it's like, I know it actually happened. It actually was much worse. I'm glad they didn't explain the whole story. And like, I really like if we could talk about the trailer, they literally, because in a lot of GTA games, they'll just play parts of the game. And it's like, look at the graphics, it's cool. In the Florida trailer, they played the end game and then what actually happened in Florida, like line by line. And it's just like, oh, that's ridiculous. That happened? Like, it's like, no, this is how it is down here. I don't know. And I think one guy, I forget what he called himself because he doesn't even go by his actual name. But I think he wanted to sue Rockstar for having his likeness in the game. And I'm just like, you stupid, don't do that. It's like, what are you gonna do? To take me out, all right. There's plenty of crazy Florida people. We don't need you.
Yeah, you're okay.
It's like, all right, who are you? Oh, yeah, just take him out.
Especially
Get
if,
that guy.
If you're like a Florida man, it's like
There's plenty.
And you know what? I'm hoping that there is like some kind of achievement in the game where you do enough crazy nonsense that you get called Florida Man. It's like, you got the Florida Man achievement. It's like, it's the top
that's the
one.
platinum trophy.
Or like in Infamous, how it's like you're in the middle and like depending on how good or bad you do, you're like one person and the ultimate negative is just Florida Man. And you're just methed out all the time, full speed.
Good and Evil's boring. Paragon Renegade's been done. Florida Man Tourist.
Yes. Yes.
I'm for it. I'm
that's
for
what
it.
I want. You just got you just wear the skull of a gator everywhere. It's like, why does he have a cape? You mean that towel? I don't know.
There's a hurricane coming. That's what he does.
He just stands in the middle. I don't think he feels wind. I think he just kind of bugs out, does a line and just, patience? Only you are waiting.
Does a line of what? No one's sure.
I don't know.
We don't ask him.
We think it's drugs, but we've seen him drink it. I don't. Just let him do it. He'll yell at you if you take it. That's all I know. But yeah, if that game, anywhere else I can put that game, I'm for it.
I want Japan to know about Florida.
I don't. Because I plan on visiting Japan, and I don't want them to know. Where are you from? Somewhere else. How are you doing?
America. Yeah.
I'm from Puerto Rico,
There you go.
and I will learn Spanish, and I will do this.
Yeah, that'll work.
Like, I don't want them to know about. I want as few people to learn about. Especially, I'm from South Florida. I want few people to learn about South Florida. It's just chaos. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
If you're not from there, that's fine.
Well, Mid-Florida
chaos.
is, of course, the beacon of order and reason.
Okay.
Right.
Sure, let's go with that.
I'm lying. Going back to Raven, what you were saying about the the controls and that Bravely Default minigame. I am interested in seeing what they can do with the Joy-Con's mouse mode in terms of like for mech game piloting. I think there's a lot you can do with that in terms of like using these as like different control mechanisms for like a cockpit mech.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
That would
You know,
be fun.
and what's funny, right, is we did get that trailer from like the Damon Ex Machina
Damon
trailer.
Ex Machina, yeah.
And I remember playing like the demo of that on the Switch, and I was like, this is really good. Never picked it up because of just life and everything, but it was a fun game. And with this one, it would be really cool if they did bring back the mechs in some kind of way, and then you could actually utilize the mouse feature like you said just now. That would be wild.
That would be fun.
Like all of the possibilities that you could have. Oh my gosh. All right, Nintendo, you're crazy. Nintendo, you are crazy, and I'm here for it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to all of the possibilities. But when it comes to like games, guys, like things that are kind of like stuff you've been looking forward to seeing at some point in the future, like what kinds of games do you want to see for the Switch 2?
I mean, I think I brought up earlier Smash.
Oh yeah.
I really want to see that. Even though I'm not a huge Smash player, I do enjoy the game. So that's like one of the main games I really want to see, like when it comes out and how it comes.
Okay.
Definitely Smash. Metroid Prime 4, obviously. Very excited for that. Beyond that, just kind of the Nintendo mainstays. I'm interested to see where they take Pokemon, what the new 3D Mario, because there will be one, what that will look like. Because that's really kind of why you buy a Nintendo system, is for the games that you can only get on your platform. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of actually 3D Mario, I was kind of surprised we didn't see a 3D Mario at that presentation. But, we got 3D Donkey Kong. So like they've still got something cooking.
oh yeah.
Which is it's going to be nice to see when that pops up. It's going to look amazing, I'm sure. It's going to look wild. But with some other things that I would like to see, to kind of just go through that, like of course we mentioned Smash, that's a big thing, but I want to see what Splatoon 4 is going to look like. Because I didn't start out as one, but then I warmed up to it. But I've been a Splatoon fan for a little while, like since the first. And I just want to see how are they going to incorporate the new features of the Switch 2. Of course, we're most likely going to see mouse controls, like where you can just aim, shoot, do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then how else are they going to make the gameplay distinct enough from the previous version? Like how are we going to get something that's, an upgrade from Splatoon 3? Like, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
I get that. That could be interesting.
Yeah. I unfortunately never played Splatoon 2 or 3, so I don't know what bases need to improve from.
Actually, me either. I started playing 3, and I really like it. So I don't know either. I don't know how like it progressed. I just know this is 3, and they have like guns and paint swords.
Paint swords, that's pretty good.
Literally throw the paint through the sword. It's interesting, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how like where they take it from with the new additions and the new graphics and all that, and how creative Nintendo can get with how to go forward with that game.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what other games, because we talked briefly about how Mario Jamboree is getting that Switch 2 upgrade. There are some other games like both the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are getting Switch 2 upgrades, add a few more features. I'm interested in like what other features they can add to past Switch games in addition to everything, of course, that we're getting for Switch 2.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Well, time will tell, like anything else.
Absolutely.
With that, I think that's it. I think that's all. Again, I think everyone is in agreement that was a great direct. Really cool, really excited for the system to come out whenever it comes out, depending on the things that are happening. Price point, reasonable, games look awesome, and overall, I can't wait. So that's it from me, Backpack Guy.
Yeah. Except for me, same here. Pretty much I agree with everything Backpack Guy just said. You know, it looks great. Hope the system does well. I think it really has potential.
All right.
Absolutely, and I am absolutely looking forward to this console and getting it day one, no matter what happens. I'll do what I must. I will fight the good fight if I have to, but you know, not physically, because I don't want to go to jail.
Okay.
So, yes. So everyone who tuned into the stream, I want to say thank you so very much, and I also want to hype up Reggie and Tommy here, who came in and shared their opinions on the Switch 2. The whole situation here, where we might end up with the Switch 2 and so on. And it was a really fun time. And if you did enjoy the stream, please, go ahead, hit that like button. It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly free. It's not $80 to do so. So, go ahead and do it.
By things.
And then, that's pretty much going to be it. But any final thoughts from you guys, or are you guys good to go?
I'm good.
All right, good to go. All right, so with that, everyone, I'm DJ Raviesta. That's going to be it for me. The Rhinos are watching. Good night.